Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smashy Business Show. I'm Warid Ahmed.
I'm Abdul Majid.
And it is the 10th of February today. It's a Monday. How are you today, Majid? How's it going? You're good?
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
A working weekend. So it was good.
Yeah.
I actually realized that working on the weekend prepares you well for Monday. Yeah, because you know what's happening. Sometimes when you're really off from the weekend, you come back on a Monday and you feel like, oh, I've missed a lifetime of whatever happened. But yeah.
I get what you mean. No, you know what I actually noticed? I had this insane realization that the best day in the weekend is actually Sunday. Because on Friday I was working, on Saturday I was working, and so the only day that I did not do anything was Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was the best day of the week. It was so good. No, seriously, it was so good.
No,
My
actually,
family came over. Like, we had such a good time.
We lived in a privileged country where we have a 2-day weekend. So even if we're working on one day of the weekend, we have another day. In a lot of countries like India, Pakistan. India, I guess now they have a 2-day work weekend, which I was told recently. But in a lot of countries, underdeveloped countries, only one day is off. So imagine you come out of work on one evening and you go home, and by the time you sleep and wake up, half of the weekend is gone. So you only get one day off. So it's a privilege living in a country which has a 2-day weekend. So enjoy it, I think.
I honestly did not even know that existed. But before I tell you a really interesting story, Majid, so for today's stories, what's coming up is that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is backing a $5 billion basketball league. And the reason why this is really interesting is because for the longest time ever, the biggest league in the world has been the NBA for basketball. For us to hear of something like this is interesting, like something's going to be brewing. And secondly, Sotheby's has hosted their first auction in Saudi Arabia. And finally, back to MONIIFY.
Some update on it.
There are more updates. There's
People
more going on
want us
there.
to not talk about it, but there's something happening every day. As soon as we reported it, updates are coming about it. So it's good to know what's happening about something very important.
Yeah. I agree
something
with you.
which came with a bang and has lost its touch after like 2 months. So it's a very good story if you talk about startup as
Naguib is smart, so we'll see what will happen
something
there.
will happen.
But Majid, you know what happened this weekend? So basically, Saturday night I went to Cavo to do some work because I did a lot of shoots. I had to, like, by the way, uploading like 200 videos onto a Google Drive is not as easy as it seems. Especially,
technology still needs to get faster, right?
Especially when your laptop has so much like footage and it's like slowly dying. It's not that easy. But point is, I walked into Cavo and it's this cafe in Jumeirah. Majid, it's such a nice cafe. Like, more so than what they serve, the seating area is really nice. Because if you notice, there's a pattern in the UAE. Like, for example, if you go to Concrete, I don't know if you've gone, it's actually concrete. The seating area is like, that's their design, it's their architecture. And because it's uncomfortable, you'll order your drink, you'll sit there for max an hour. I sat there for 30 minutes and you leave. Do you see what their design did? It doesn't encourage people to stay. It encourages people to come in and just get a drink and keep it going.
It's not like Starbucks, which they've created comfortable environment. I think they're moving away from it, but Starbucks has this idea that they put books and Wi-Fi and charging spots on it. They definitely have. So you stay and you consume more.
I agree with you, but with cafes like these, I've noticed a lot of them, you can't like take a seat. Even here, by the way, the matcha scene is like booming. People buy a lot of matcha. You have no idea. And a cup of matcha is like 35 dirhams. And even those cafes that serve the best matcha, in my personal opinion, it's not, and it's Trio, they don't have like a nice seating area. It's always constantly, it's not a work area. So Cavo is really nice in that sense. So I walked in. And then I walk in and I always like to say hi, you know? And I see this guy and he's not dressed like one of the employees. And he says, hi, how are you guys? And I'm like, oh, like a customer would never greet another customer. So I take a seat. I don't think much of it. And you know what? I was like, no, let me be a bit nosy today. I'm nosy every day. But point is, I ask him, I'm like, hey, like, you know, you said hi to us. Are you by any chance the owner of this place? Because I frequent it a lot with my friends. And he's like, actually, I'm the new owner. I bought it 1 week ago.
Nice.
Imagine that. And I was just like, what? And by the way, I remember like when we walked in, like me and my best friend, we both visibly noticed that all the employees look really uncomfortable. No, they look uncomfortable in the sense of like, you know when employees look like they're really scared that they're going to be laid off?
Yeah, because it's a new employer.
It's like a new employer. And by the way, all the employers, all the employees in Cavo, they're all black. They're all Africans.
Nice.
And they're the sweetest people in the world. And I understand their fear because I feel like what happens with these cafes, I always see either two cultures being hired. It's either Filipinos or it's either black people. And I understand their fear because what if they get replaced with Westerners? I understood their fear. But point is, let's go back to this guy. His name is Demir, and he's been working in F&B for like over a decade. I have never seen anybody this passionate about F&B, by the way. Like he was even telling me, he was like 1 week ago, like we bought it from this Emirati businessman. I will find out for you guys who it is, who the previous owner of Cavo was, but he said that they had way too many businesses and that they felt like they couldn't give Cavo all their like time and love.
Enough attention.
Exactly. So they sold it to them. And so Demir and his wife were there to, they were just looking around like what changes they can make. And by the way, I am so glad I caught them in the moment. I was like, guys, don't you dare change this exterior. These comfy couches, don't you dare take it. By the way, I was very honest. I'm like, please don't take it away. He was like, no, but like we have to like, do something else. I'm like, okay, sure, like replace the sheets, but like don't take it away. That's why we all come. Like I've been coming there for years, by the way. And then I started giving him advice, and I'm like, by the way, like we all love matcha, we all love Spanish latte, so make sure to like, make sure
maybe diversify the menu.
Yeah, they're gonna basically change the food menu, but I told them focus on the matcha and Spanish latte because that's exactly what the people in this country love. And you know what he did? He was like, by the way, guys, you don't have to pay, it's on us. And I'm like, stop it. I was just trying to get my news story, but
so
thank you.
You were a consultant.
Thank you.
For the consultation that
Yeah, he was really sweet, but like he sat with us and he listened. He went like, I'm gonna be here for like the next 2 weeks, so if you want to catch the new owner of Cavo, you better go, because he's going to be there for the next 2 weeks. And he said that, like, I want to start building relationships with the customers. I want to hear what they care about. And I'm like, damn.
And that's a good business strategy for two things. One, he got feedback directly from the people who were visiting it. So you told him, I guess, that you've been coming there a lot. And second, the good thing he's doing is he's actually, what was it? First was the feedback. You said another thing. That got me to a point.
He's developing a really good relationship with the customers. And
Developing
I think that goes
a
long
relationship
way for
is like
mouth.
whatever business you do, you always have try to always build a good customer base, which is a returning customer. They're called returning customers. So a good returning base of customer will always have good business for you. So if out of 100 people, 10 of them are always returning, you've built a good base. They'll always come, they'll always buy.
Yeah, no,
So it's always like build a base which is of returning customers and new acquisitions, new customers. If they come good, just try to convert them into a returning customer. And he was actually doing that.
He was.
Talking
and by
to
the
you
way,
guys and everyone else.
He was a
maybe.
really humble guy.
Nice.
Like, it's truly a sweetheart. Like, I remember even when I was speaking to him, and I feel like this is really how you can tell that, someone is listening, they're being really attentive. Like, he's just sitting there, he was listening to me, and he was taking everything in, and I'm like, wow, like, you're giving me a voice. And even his wife, they're just both absolute sweethearts. But anyways, getting to today's topics, this one in particular, I'm really excited about because for the longest time ever, the NBA has just been completely big in the US. They have not had any competitors, I feel. Like somebody who's really entered into the field and rivaled them. But Saudi Arabia, they said, no, it's our time to shine. And they're going out of their way to plan this $5 billion basketball deal that is going to be in Saudi Arabia, and it's going to span across Asia and Europe. Now, this league will feature 6 men's and 6 women's teams competing in 8 host cities. And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund is a strategic partner along with other partners. Do you want to tell us about those other investors, Majid?
So, Macau casino giant Galaxy Entertainment is a partner. Swiss bank UBS is an advisor. Apart from that, investors include Byron Dieter, Quiet Capital, Maverick Carter. He's a very good friend of LeBron James, and he's a very big businessman in the basketball business. And then there's Skype co-founder Geoff Prentice as well. So it's a big thing that they're trying to do. The only confidence I take from their this move is we recently talked about Live Golf as well. So PGA Tour was unmatched. We talked about it as well. PGA Tour, no one was able to touch them. But Live Golf came and they gave competition to PGA Tour, and now we see that they're planning a merger, and there's talks that Trump maybe brought in because Trump golf courses, they're very famous. Trump loves golf. So they're trying to bring Trump into the whole thing and finalize a Live and PGA merger. So that is how big Saudi's involvement becomes eventually. So if this deal finalizes, if this $5 billion basketball league, which is going to be an international basketball league, if they finalizes, and exactly like Live Golf, if they're able to at least attract 2 or 3 big players, like they did with Saudi Pro League, they brought Ronaldo, and then Neymar came, Benzema came, then a lot of people all came, Mitrovic came. Likewise, if they can start this league and bring in 4 or 5 big names, it will again be the same story as Live and PGA, and NBA will be looking at it, this move.
And you know, Majid, the reason why I take a look at this story, and it's so beautiful, because do you know how difficult it is to actually do this? I had a friend who actually tried to launch this in the UAE, and they called it VPL. We'll see. You never know. It might just work out in the UAE. But he was searching for investors. It didn't work out because of the fact that he found out that there are government entities who are already trying to do it. Yeah. So that's just a source for you guys. But there are government entities who are in the process of planning something like this in the UAE. But the issue is there hasn't really been anybody who has come and grounded it. Nobody has come and grounded it or had the passionate hand to actually take it to where it needs to be. And so also, the fact that Saudi is ahead of the UAE in this, it's good.
When you say it, Smashy Sports, plugging in Smashy Sports, we did stream recently Dubai International Basketball Championship. Don't remember the exact team structure, but there was 2 international teams, at least I remember. UAE national team, which is sponsored by Smashy Sports. We have our Smashy Sports logo on it, on their jerseys. They were part of the competition, so it was a full-fledged 10-team tournament, I guess, 10 or 11. Kirby can tell me in my ear if I'm right or wrong about the Dubai International Basketball Championship. So that recently happened, where the sponsors of the UAE national team recently signed last year. We renewed the sponsorship with them. So basketball scene overall in the UAE is good.
They need this. They need this. They really
Middle
need
East
this.
also needs it.
We do need it. And Majid, the reason why I am so passionate about this is because of the fact that, you know, when I was growing up, I'm very I'm into athletics. You know, not specifically basketball, but I was into athletics, and I actually I used to do relays and I used to sprint. And something that I noticed that is so engraved into American culture is sports. And when I say sports, it's in the sense of that they make careers out of it. And I know that a lot of footballers all over the world make careers out of sports, like for example Mohamed Salah in Egypt. But I mean that in America it's on a wider scale. So like, you know, you'll be like a 17-year-old and you'll be sprinting, and there's like a coach sitting on the bench who's like, I don't know, from Stanford, and he's like, I want to pick that kid up. Or like you'll be playing basketball and you're 16 and they'll pick you up and they'll give you the career of a lifetime.
And you also get sponsorships from universities to study.
To study for free. So, and I speak of my friend when I say this, you know, they wanted to develop VPL because they saw that this market is empty here. It's so empty. No, really, it is. Like, university students don't have that opportunity to really capitalize on sports. They all leave the country for it. They go to the US. So the fact that Saudi Arabia is bringing this, you know, imagine before you know it, give it like a good decade. Before you know it, a lot of people are going to be sending their children to Saudi Arabia because they're on their sports scholarship. So when I look at this story, I'm hearing... I just feel it. I really feel it working out, and I feel it making a lot of young people's careers very successful.
And sports is one of the, like, not the biggest, but one of the biggest investments that the Middle East overall is making. Because again, diversifying away from oil they're investing in sports because sports, entertainment, all these things bring a lot of money, the gate money, the sponsorship deals.
Of
So
course.
that's nice way to diversify your economy away from oil. And sports is one of the biggest targets for Saudi Arabia as well.
It is.
They're trying to add at least
Yeah.
1 to 1.5% of GDP from sports. So let's see. This
But-
works out. It'll be a great league, and I'll start watching basketball. I've seen NBA for like
Yeah.
1 or 2 seasons. Sometime when I was very free, I was watching all the football leagues, basketball leagues. But if this league starts, I'll watch it from day one, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
This is when you're going to start. But more so than that, I think that they should definitely. Sport investments are good to target, but they should definitely stop targeting people like Neymar. Like, I
Yeah.
feel really bad for Al
see,
Hilal. No, but
Out of
imagine
all the players, he was the
plays-
only flop, right?
A flop of $100 million,
Yeah.
though. He plays for 42 minutes and gets
Yeah.
$100 million. Give me that money. Are you actually
Everyone
joking?
wants that money.
Like, he's got to be joking. And then the fact that he moved on so quickly.
Yeah.
He moved on so quickly. He
No, but
went
he
back
was
to
crying.
Brazil.
He was sad. Obviously, see,
crying in money.
I remember Rich talked about it that there are players who are at 40. Ronaldo just celebrated his birthday dancing, and we saw
Yeah.
the video. Really happy to turn 40, but he's still at the prime of his career. He runs fast, scores goals. Mohamed Salah is
great.
not that young. He's the same age as Neymar, like 1 or 2 year difference. He's doing great. He's the highest Premier League scorer right now. Most probably he's renewing a Liverpool contract. So with Neymar, the problem was it's himself. He did it to himself. No injury, nothing else did. So if you don't take care of your body, obviously you go towards injuries. So yeah, that's the only flop story we have from Saudi Pro League. Otherwise, Saudi Pro League is, to be honest, doing really great.
A $100 million flop.
Yeah, but he's a 100. Yeah,
But you know
big
what?
flop.
Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is worth like what, $1
I'll
trillion?
tell you a story
This is
about
nothing
this.
for them.
You have to realize that a player on the
Yeah.
field is important, but their presence sometimes is also very important. So when Ronaldo was coming, Neymar came, Benzema came. Even though Benzema may leave someday, Ronaldo, hopefully he's staying. These guys may leave, but their name brought Saudi Pro League up. So Neymar's coming, I don't think on paper and on field it was very effective. But as a whole, as a package for Saudi Pro League, it was really great. The
Yeah.
promotion that they got because of Neymar in Latin America, in his home country, everywhere, that, oh, our guy is playing in some league in Saudi Arabia. So I guess they took advantage of that. So yeah, apart from that, next, we're staying in Saudi Arabia for the next story,
Yeah.
which is 17 million Saudi auction happened in Saudi Arabia. Botero and Banksy, they led the historic debut of Sotheby's in Saudi Arabia. Sotheby's hosted its first ever auction. It was held in Diriyah on Saturday night. And the total sales of the paintings and artifacts and everything that was sold there reached up to $17 million. That's not
Wow.
a small number. So it was slightly below the upper pre-sale estimate. They thought they'll make around 16 to 22. So they made 17. It's not a bad number, but it's not a really great number. It's a good number for the first time, for a debut auction. Apart from that, the most expensive thing that was sold at the auction was a Banksy. He's a great painter. His painting was called Subject to Availability, and it fetched $1.2 million. That was the most expensive top sale of the night.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, and so-
Honestly, Majid, like when I take a look at this story, what I see it as is the fact that they're having this auction in Saudi Arabia. Number one, they're very aware of the money there. They're aware of the
Yeah.
investors there, and they're aware of the opportunity there. But much more than that, what I see when I see this story is I see a society that is so cultured. And when I say cultured, I mean it in the sense of they have good taste.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're buying into this art, it really does direct you to larger implications. Like, for example, the Neon Project.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. The Red Sea. Saudis have such beautiful taste. No, really, I love their
Yeah.
architecture. I love their designs. And by the way, more and more companies like these are coming to Saudi Arabia. Like just very recently, the Bowery company,
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Bowery company, it's UAE based. They opened their first store here. It's led by, I believe, Christina, and she's Lebanese, and they expanded into Saudi Arabia, and she's like vlogging every single day her stories of like opening her store in Saudi. And the fact that all of these artists are coming to Saudi, it's because they're recognizing how cultured the people are there. Their taste is beautiful. I mean, I still think of the Red Sea, and you see certain locations, Majid, in Saudi Arabia online where you're like, is this really in Saudi? Like,
Yeah.
this is so beautiful. It's so insane.
And there's this, obviously, this auction is big. There's a 1 million painting that was sold, Society Women.
Yeah.
The more important thing that I saw was a cultural shift that you just talked about. Saudi Arabia, you see it like 20 years ago, Saudi Arabia was oil, big oil, find oil, make money. So they were like, okay, the first hurdle, the first thing in the pyramid of necessities, money, we have. Then I remember I went to Saudi Arabia and I had a chat with this Uber driver, and the Uber driver there are all Saudis. You don't find a local guy. And then I asked one of them, like, why are you guys driving Ubers? And they're like, yeah, because only Saudis are allowed to drive Uber in this country. No one else can. I was like, okay. And he had a big 4x4 truck he was driving as an Uber. So imagine in Saudi Arabia, you get a very luxurious Tesla or something as an Uber.
Yeah.
So that guy told me that the great founder of Saudi Arabia and then his son, they sent Saudi people to study outside, all things paid. They're like, pick a country, pick a university, pick a course, go outside, learn. So they took that money from oil, they invested into their human capital. The human capital then grew, became more learned, became more cultured.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing that finally they're investing into things that are not just cars and this and that. Now they're investing in art, they're investing in sculptures and all that. So it's really interesting how the society has shifted.
Exactly.
There's a whole society dynamic that has gone from one end to another end. So that's like the most like deep thought that I came.
And they're really great
Yeah.
people, you know. I remember when I was at Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival, I made this new friend. She's Saudi Arabian.
Nice.
Her name is Tuna. And imagine, in just like 2 days, we became like besties. I'm not even joking. Like, she went with me to like do the interviews. She was like giving me suggestions. And oh my God, I remember the hibayas that she was wearing were so beautiful. And for any woman who is listening to the podcast right now, if you know abayas, yes, you can buy abaya from anywhere, but not anybody can actually find the best quality, the best designs. And I asked her, I was like, by the way, like, your linen abaya, it's so beautiful. How did you get it this way? And she told me that she actually bought the linen material and she took it to a tailor and she asked him to design it for her this way. So yeah, exactly. So no, they're really particular about their art, and it's so beautiful to see that, you know, auctions like these, they're coming because now they're going to be opened to everything. I think a lot of people don't deep this, but Saudi Arabians for the longest time ever, there were certain things that weren't available to them in their country. Like, for example, like an Apple store. And I never deeped it because I always had my Apple store that I always frequent in MOE whenever I have an issue. But their first store, it's opening this year. I believe it's in 2026.
Oh.
But the first Apple store, it's coming soon. So they couldn't even take their like MacBooks and, you know, go fix it at the actual Apple store. And if you're a part of the fixing process of MacBooks, let me tell you, Majid, it's better to just go to Apple. No, I mean it. It's better. I had a friend, she went to a brand, I won't say their name, don't want to ruin the business, but you know what they did? They just destroyed her motherboard and then had to completely replace it. When the actual fix should have taken just 3 days, it took like a good month. So always trust Apple, go to Apple. So it's like finally Saudis are going to receive everything.
And
everything is going to be there for them, international and national.
How do you say it? Dug deep under in this story is there's another part I just remembered. When I joined here, one of the biggest stories that I learned about was Sotheby's selling their stake to ADQ, our Mr. Tanun, our favorite person. So ADQ is chaired by His Highness Sheikh Tanun. So ADQ bought a $1 billion minority stake in Sotheby's. And I remember reading about it that Sotheby's is not actually doing great. Sotheby's is under a lot of debt and they have a lot of money owed to the banks, and ADQ came in. They were like, okay, we'll finance it, we'll invest $1 billion. So the move that you've seen Sotheby's move towards UAE and Saudi Arabia and all these places, it's from their side, it's a money move. The thing that we talk about always, that everyone is coming to this area for money, Sotheby's is actually coming here for money as well. So imagine, there's so much money that even auction houses are like, okay, we'll open something in the Middle East. So they had UAE presence, but now with this first auction in Saudi Arabia, they've opened new doors. And since Saudi is the biggest economy in the Middle East, and UAE is the second, they will make it.
It's so interesting. I'm deeping what you're saying, Majid, and honestly, this goes deep. These foreigners, they're not just coming to, the Middle East. Majid, we Arabs, we call them the Inglis.
Yeah.
This is what we call them. But these Inglis, they're coming to the Middle East. It's not even just because, just for the sake of it. They're coming because they need the money.
Yeah.
They're not coming as a broader strategy to expand and, just to make the business bigger.
Or to contribute to Middle East. They're coming here to take their piece of the cake.
Exactly. They're incurring losses and they need help and they want to do a takeover. And we saw that with Vogue Arabia. We saw that with Vogue Arabia, the way that Condé Nast just completely took away UAE-based Nervora's rights, who was basically running Vogue Arabia here. And they're like, nope, we're going to take over now. We're going to do it. And Condé Nast itself globally was losing money. And then they decided, okay, we're going to come to the Middle East and we're going to take that money. It's not even we're going to make money in the Middle East. We're going to take that money.
Yeah.
And I just, this goes deep. It goes really, really deep.
So, Anna Wintour just interviewed with AB Talks.
I am so excited about that. I never expected that, by the way. You never hear that woman talking.
No, but see, what I realized from that is that they're doing their PR and marketing in the region to make it go away that, oh, we did a forced takeover kind of a thing. They're trying to go to every influencer, talk to them. Anna Wintour talking to AB Talks is not a small thing. Anna Wintour is like here.
I know.
I agree. AB Talks is big. The guy is, Anas Bukhach is a big guy.
The entire comment section was saying this. They were like, man, I wasn't watching your show, but since you brought in Anna Wintour, I'm going to watch it now.
So you have to understand, on the scale of global
it's crazy.
Global celebrity status, Anna Wintour is here. And this is AB Talks. He's great, but again, Anna Wintour is big. But why would she come down there? Because they understand, again, that the region here is ripe for making money. And this is why she will talk to a lot. I don't think AB Talks is going to be the only one who will publish an interview with her. Obviously, when they go out and make the whole PR plan, I've worked in the PR and marketing industry, so I know they won't go with like Anna Wintour talking to everyone at the same moment. So they've given a lot of slots to a lot of people, and eventually everyone will come out with the video about talking to Anna Wintour. Like
MONIIFY might too.
Yeah,
you never know.
Icons.
MONIIFY might have sat with her because we saw how Elon Musk. Elon Musk's
and also
mother.
Musk also
she came for a 1 billion summit, and she ended up doing an interview with Anas Bukhach. She spoke to MONIIFY.
It with 2 or 3 other people. So yeah, it's the PR plan that one by one we'll publish the interview. So you'll see Anna Wintour a lot in the region. Again, Vogue Arabia was making a lot of money, and we don't know the financials, but it's pretty clear the kind of people they had on their covers, and those people are not easy to get. Some of them obviously will be like, okay, we're going on Vogue Arabia, good enough, not taking any money. But a lot of other people who came on that cover, they took a lot of money. So that means Vogue was making good amount, and their staff was great. They were doing great. You would see the best of the best brands on their magazines, double cover, center spread ads. So that means they were making money. So they came here to take the money. So you have to understand, right now, Middle East, there's 2 things happening. One, they're making a lot of money. But 2, everyone from the globe is coming here to take a piece of their cake and enjoy
They're coming to take the money, not make it. Yeah, so, that's for sure.
Yeah, eventually there will come a point when we'll realize, everyone will realize that they are here. They're here and they're trying to take over. But I think the governments, the leadership of Saudi Arabia, especially with Mohammed bin Salman, great, very, very smart guy. And then our leadership, the UAE president, the Dubai ruler, all the 7 Emirates, the rulers, they're great at predicting this, and they're great at keeping them at bay. That, okay, this is where we put a boundary.
Yeah.
Do this, contribute. If you're contributing good enough, make money for us, make money for yourself, but don't come on this side.
Yeah,
So
well-
that's the good thing about our governments.
Yeah.
So we're not scared of them, thankfully.
Or the final topic of the day, MONIIFY.
Yeah.
It seems to be that they weren't making money in this case, and that's why they had the alleged 80% layoffs that
Yeah.
happened. And the reason why this is such a big story is because if you haven't heard, MONIIFY was launched last year in November. We're like in
Yeah.
February of 2025. The year has just began, and to hear of 80% layoffs, that's crazy. But what's even crazier, we have another update for you guys. So basically, a former advisor of MONIIFY, Yaser Bishr, actually responded to Smashy Business's posts regarding MONIIFY. And,
Just to, sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, word, but
It's
just to
okay.
tell you, go do a basic Google search and write MONIIFY layoffs. You won't find anyone reporting about it.
Of
Not
course
even
you're not
Semaphore
going to.
is reporting about it, because I don't know why. No one thinks it's a scoop. But the very interesting thing about all this story is, sorry, let me just put it on silent. But the very important thing from this story is, it's not that these are layoffs. It's not that it's MONIIFY who maybe or maybe not be a competitor. It's not even that we're in the media field, so we're covering them more. The only important thing is, it's a startup. They started something, and when we say startups, we see a lot of startups struggling in the region with pre-seed investment, seed investment.
Even after 5 years.
Yeah, they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to find a good guy. These guys, from the start, from day one, had a billionaire backing them.
Naguib Suarez,
yeah,
the
Naguib
Egyptian
Suarez, the
billionaire,
Egyptian. And
richest family in
then
Africa.
failing after 2 months, just randomly
I
firing
don't
so many
think that
people.
they failed. I don't think it was a failure. I think it was a fact that
This strategy at least failed.
But Majid,
Yeah.
that's normal though.
Yeah.
It's normal to change your strategy
Yeah.
multiple times. I mean, even me and you both with
Yeah.
Smashy Business, we're always constantly seeing what's working and what's not, and based on that, we shift our strategy. I think for them, it was too much that how could I be the billionaire that I am and have the empire that I have, and for this to not work as quickly as it should be. But they don't work out quickly. These things don't work out quickly.
Yeah.
But you know what I
Everything
find
takes
really
time.
but you know what I find really interesting about this story? It's the fact that Yaser Bishr, a former advisor to MONIIFY, but not only is he a former advisor to MONIIFY, he was the ex-head of Al Jazeera's AJ Plus. And he expressed concerns of those affected in a LinkedIn post. I will read it out to you guys. So he responded and said, devastated to hear of the recent mass layoffs at MONIIFY, and that shortly after the launch. And he also expressed that, if anybody does need a job, do contact me. But you know what I find so interesting about this? He's the ex-head of Al Jazeera's AJ Plus.
Yeah.
What other account has that same name, Majid? KT Plus.
Yeah.
KT Plus. And KT Plus, it's basically this like new branching media, part of the Khalij Times, that it's very different. It's very Gen Z. It's very
Yeah.
slay, very period.
Cool way of doing news.
And I just find it really interesting because I feel like this guy right here, by the way, the fact that he's stepping in and he's recognizing how sad these layoffs are and he's giving job opportunities, he's a really important part of our new media future, Majid.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he is a part of the launch of AJ Plus, that was Al Jazeera recognizing that, okay, media is changing. People don't read anymore. They don't go on TV like they used to. My dad still does, but they don't go. Everyone's on their phones. And I saw this statistic from what Richard posted from LEAP that's happening right now in Riyadh, the summit. And basically, this one guy was basically saying that he was from the BBC, and he was saying that 50% of people right now get their news from their phones.
Social media.
And this man over here, Yaser, him being a part of the launch of MONIIFY AJ Plus, he's a part of the new media magic.
Yeah.
And I think, by the way, it is not to be underestimated that, you know, you are at the age that you are and you are recognizing that people don't want the media that I used to write and I used to produce anymore.
Yeah.
They want things like AJ Plus. They want things like KT Plus. They want things like Love in Dubai. And so that's why I find it really beautiful that he's commenting out of everyone. Because if you think about it, he triggered a trend.
You just talked about KT Plus, and it made me realize.
Yeah.
I never realized this, and you just talked about KT Plus, and I realized they're backed by one of the biggest giants of like newspaper and printing and media, Khalij Times. So when you talk about UAE, you know 3-4 big names at the top of your head. Obviously, BBC, CNN, they have the regional headquarters, but the national, Khalij Times, Gulf News, Arabian Business, these are like the 4 or 5 top names that come to your mind. And they're backed by one of the biggest groups, Khalij Times. KT Plus is an alt account for Khalij Times. They even didn't go as big into KT Plus. You see their account, it's at 43,000. They just went in, and the faces that you see, it's only 2 or 3 people. And actually 2 of the people who actually appear on KT Plus videos, they also work for Khalij Times.
No, they hired more people, by the way.
Yeah,
Did you notice?
Isa was also there at KT
Yes,
Plus.
and then he moved to
Maybe he had a
MONIIFY.
contractual something so he could move easily. But the main idea is that they didn't go all in like, oh, we'll put billions and millions into it.
Exactly.
They just grew it slowly and gradually.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
They hired just a couple of people,
Yeah.
and a few of them were completely unknown.
Yeah.
But I don't know her name. But what's crazy is that Masa, the producer, she told me that she went with her to university to AUS.
Oh.
But her videos on KT Plus, she's one of the youngest girls. She started there. Are
So there's
so
2.
good.
This one?
I love her videos.
Do you know
not
her face?
This one. Not this one.
There's
It's
another one, yeah.
But her videos are always more Gen Z. Let me see.
I know this lady, the one you're
I
talking
just don't
about.
know her name. I never found out her name.
Yeah, they
but
never put their names.
But they
This one.
started out. Let me see. Yes,
100%,
her.
right?
She's
See?
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I love her videos
Yeah.
so much.
She's usually about the Gen Z
and
videos.
her videos, by the way, do better than the other ones.
Yeah.
Like I saw. But you're right. They like slowly expanded it. But you know, just very recently, remember how we reported on the layoffs from Khalij Times? And so, you know, the fact that all these layoffs are happening, like media is changing.
Yeah.
And Majid, you have no idea how lucky me and you are to be in the position that we are in
Yeah.
today. I remember my parents were speaking to me, by the way, like when I was an intern. And they're like, Ward, like, don't you want to work for Al Arabiya, the NBC, Khalij Times? Because, by the way, the numbers that Al Arabiya pays their employees.
Yeah.
Imagine for just like a presenter who just speaks.
Yeah.
She does not write. She does not script. She just speaks and she
From
sits
the
on that
teleprompter,
beautiful
yeah.
couch and looks completely beautiful and has a makeup team. Let me tell you, they get paid a lot of money. And in cinema, but they get laid off.
Yeah.
They get laid off because media is changing, and we're in a we're very lucky, alhamdulillah, and mashallah, to be in the stable position that we are in.
Yeah, because lean and mean team. The small team which works hard, which
Yes.
doesn't throw it anywhere like, oh, yeah. Because if you have a big team, everyone keeps throwing work at it. It becomes a ping pong game with 10 people involved. So you do it and you do it, and that guy
Yeah.
is like, you do it, and then so senior guy tells the junior tells the junior, and then it keeps going down. The work
Yeah, but I
doesn't
definitely
happen.
think they have a good
Yeah.
work-life balance. Probably.
Yeah, obviously,
But they
again,
get laid off.
In this time and age where everything is being replaced by AI, and to be honest, 90% of the writing that you see online has been replaced by AI. It's ChatGPT. If you've used ChatGPT enough, you can read anyone and you'll be like, okay, I know this is ChatGPT, because the spacings and the letter casings and everything, you can easily guess it. So my only point is the best way right now is to take on extra work, not because you should, it's bad, I know, burnout is true, Rich said it on Friday, but there is a point where you have to realize that you can push yourself to that point. Obviously, after that, don't do it, but before that, try to get as many skills, try to get into as many new formats as you can. Obviously, it will take more time than just your regular 8 to 5, but when the AI boom actually becomes regular and there's a certain set of efficiency that is being achieved by AI, and everyone is saying AGI is a reality in the next 2-3 years, that point, your skill set will define you. If you have a very limited skill set of just reading from the prompter, it would not work after a point.
You're right.
You will need to have that X factor to survive in the industry.
No, you're
and
right.
media will eventually be taken over by AI because it's, at the end of the day, pictures, videos, texts. That's it. These are the three things that go. And graphics.
But Majid, people,
But-
but listen, people love a human connection.
Yeah,
and you know
people love.
who you see that in? You see
But
that in like.
did you see our videos? The human videos that we did? We tried.
Which ones? The
The
ones with the
Casey,
AI?
yeah.
They do work, but in the end
See?
of the day, who is that AI copying?
Yeah.
It's copying us.
Yeah. But
and people
see,
love.
you'll become redundant after a while.
I don't fear that, by
They
the way.
can make a
because
new human-like person, and we've seen that real estate agencies are using it. They have like whole account of real estate agents, AI created 0 to 1, and
but
they're doing
they copied
sales.
humans, though.
Yeah, but
and who's
those
writing-
humans are redundant now. That AI is
They're-
more important.
No, they're not redundant because look at it like this. You know, we see it in like the Mo Show. You know, he brought on like the CEO of Snapchat,
Yeah.
even Spiegel. We see it in Candace Owens. We see it in
Yeah.
Carl Tuckerson. You know why people love media more than anything? I know they're up there, but they love somebody.
You list those people, they
They-
won't even make 0.00001% of the human population. Where does the middle and the lower strata of that whole thing go? You can name literally all of them on your fingers. You won't even have to use these parts. So that's the problem with me for social media. There's always an elite social media, which is maximum, global ones I'm
Yeah.
talking about, which everyone knows. Trust me, you go out there and talk about Candace Owens, half of the people won't know her.
But a lot of
you
people know her.
Yeah,
And
Americans.
they
And
like-
then some people,
no.
trust me, she's very big in America.
Of course, she's big in America,
Yeah.
but it's like Majid. It's like this point of that. Do you really think that we all just want to watch AI all the time? Of course not. That's not going to be the
If-
case. I really don't fear it. I
See-
think AI is going to make our life easier.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
going
going to make
replace
it easier,
us.
but when you achieve AGI, which everyone is talking about, and Sam Altman's next target after facing so much loss from DeepSeek is AGI, they will actually become as good as us. You have to realize that. So at that point, your human skills will differentiate you.
No.
And the more you do right now,
I don't see this
you'll
happening.
get better at it.
I definitely see them
it's a-
developing,
Yeah.
but behind every robot, there's a human.
Yeah.
There's always a human.
Thank you so
Much for watching, everyone. This is Smashy Business Show, a Smashy Business production under the Augustus Media Podcast Network. We will air tomorrow at the same time at 10 a.m., so make sure to tune in, and you can find our newsletter on Smashy TV, and please follow us on all of our channels. Thank you, and have a lovely start to the week.